Tonight on the Black Channel, we tried to warn them. Now the desperation is setting in. Don't think they're going to stop now, but also don't think they're going to get any smarter. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting super fortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, as promised, last night's program was so damn jam-packed, I could only get to a certain number of things there last night. But there was one thing I did not want to leave untouched. I didn't want to leave this unspoken on here. In case you were wondering anywhere out there, if you were wondering if it was panic in Bedlam, it absolutely is. Over there with the Democrats, they're trying to figure out, do we got something that's going to stick? Do we got something that's going to hold? Because so far, nothing is. Build Back Better has gone down in flames. The black electorate's not looking for anything. They need help, and we're going to roll into that here tonight. Because throwing crumbs off the table, the distraction techniques, the symbolic things, it's not working. And even the corporate media is acknowledging it's not working. And all of this is coming into the midterms because they are terrified to death. They understood that they only squeaked by in the last election by the skin of their teeth, and they are terrified of what will happen and what it'll mean. Terrified of what it could mean going forward. Strength tends to go to strength, but weakness tends to go to weakness. CNN did an article here, and the title of it says it all. After Build Back Better's collapse, Democrats still struggling on how to message the midterms. Now, you would think they would have if things are going so great, you would figure they'd have a number of great things to say. You'd figure they'd have a number of good things to say. And Roland Martin over there, was talking about the Democrats are doing great. Things are going great. They just need somebody better to do their messaging. Maybe they can hire me, Roland Martin. If they were really smart, they'd hire me to do their messaging. Yeah, because he's done such a great job so far. Yeah. The article says, in the 4 months since West Virginia Democrat Senator Joe Manchin torpedoed the president's signature Build Back Better plan, Democrats have struggled to rally around a cohesive midterm message. Many members facing tough re-elections have sought to forge their own paths, run against Washington, that means run against Joe Biden, and at times even distance themselves from President Joe Biden. This is CNN talking. This is CNN telling you that they are currently attempting to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. It ain't looking good. But rank-and-file Democrats acknowledge that time is running out to get everyone on the same page, and more needs to be done to help boost their colleagues who could lose their seats without a more succinct vision. Quote, we all need to work harder about delivering the message on reducing costs, making sure we are empowering small businesses and working families, said Senator John Tester, a Montana Democrat. Quote, we've been doing that from the get-go, but we just don't talk about it enough, sir. People, this is denial. This is denial. The idea that the only thing that you're missing here we don't talk about it enough, as if you all are just winning and you're really putting major points on the board, but you just don't talk about how great you're doing enough. That's called denial. You see, when you're really winning, everybody knows it. When you're allegedly doing all this great work and nobody sees it, it's because it's not there. So you got somebody in a relatively safe seat talking about, well, we're doing a great job over here. Okay. As the country stares down skyrocketing gas prices and inflation. By the way, he's talking about message on reducing costs, making sure we're empowering small businesses and working families. Very next sentence from CNN. As the country stares down skyrocketing gas prices and inflation. That is denial, people. Members are taking matters into their own hands as best they can. Some are urging their leadership to do more. Put more legislation on the floor that can pass and give members something to run on. Now, as you'll all remember, I told you this from the very beginning when you were saying, Jason, why is it that Jim Crow Joe Biden is sitting up here and doing his best to back Ketanji Brown Jackson? You just heard what it was. I said this a couple of weeks ago. CNN is confirming it. People, if you're not listening to the new black media, you're so damn far behind. If you're listening to us here, you are weeks, months, and in some cases, years ahead of the curve. You can call me the angry scientist. I'm not mad, although sometimes I am irate and hostile. But you can call me the angry scientist. Not exactly a mad scientist, but folks, I told you how this was going to break down months ago. It's not some clown on the internet screaming about chakras and pyramids. We are able to analyze the current events. We are political analysts who are able to look at it and come to accurate, reliable conclusions of where things are going. I told you last year how they were going to do a 180 turn on mandates. Vaccine mandates, and that is exactly what has occurred. I told you weeks ago how this was going to break down and that their whole thing was going into midterms. We need something, anything. Give us a win to run on, even if it's minor, modest. Give us something we can say that we actually got done. So when you all were saying, why was he so hard body about Ketanji Brown Jackson? So he can say, well, we got something done. Because it damn sure isn't going to be Build Back Blander. It's not gonna be that. Give us something we can say that we're succeeding on. Give us something we can say is working. The Equality Act, yeah. Really? No, you can't talk about the border. That's calamity. You can't talk about gas prices. That's horrendous. You can't talk about anything that anybody cares about. So that's what they're saying. Give us some legislation that can easily win so we can go back to our home districts and say, well, we got something done. You can't ride on Obamacare anymore. So remember when I told you all this weeks ago, yes, if you want to know whether or not you're getting accurate, reliable information and analysis, yeah, you get it here. Now, they're over there panicking and with very good reason. But what they said is, as the country stares down skyrocketing gas prices and inflation, members are taking matters in their own hands as best they can. Some are urging the leadership to do more, put more legislation on the floor that can pass, and give members something to run on. On Thursday morning, Representative Josh Gottheimer, a Democrat from New Jersey, introduced a plan with Republican colleague Brian Fitzpatrick to tackle 7 areas ripe for bipartisanship, including legislation to increase funding for policing. Your Democrat representative in New Jersey is teaming up with the Republicans. If you'll all remember here on last night's program, people, yeah, we got to keep giving these callbacks so that you understand we have a consistent strain of thought. We have a consistent vein of thought that runs and doesn't waver. And if you remember on last night's program, I told you I don't back the left wing or the right wing. I back the black wing. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, left wing, right wing. These are terms that only apply to white people. They don't apply to black people. White folk put those terms on and take them off like a jacket. 1 minute they're Republican, next minute they're Democrat. 1 minute they're allegedly at each other's throats, the next minute they're sitting there clinking glasses and throwing back brandies. No, I'm not with the left wing and the right wing. I'm with the black wing. And if you agree with what you're hearing here tonight, and if you feel it there, get my likes up for me here. Give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button. YouTube is trying to keep it down. But if you agree that we're not fooled by the labels of Republican and Democrat, because we understand those are labels that the dominant society puts on and takes off like a jacket. If you agree that that's the truth, hit the likes button for me and give me a thumbs up in the chat room. In any case, Representative Josh Gottheimer, Democrat from New Jersey, introduced a plan with Republican colleague Brian Fitzpatrick, including legislation to increase funding for police and another bill to block the administration from overturning Title 42, a pandemic-era order that allowed Border Patrol to return migrants immediately to their home countries, citing a public health emergency. Quote, we need to focus on common sense, bipartisan action that can actually get done and bring folks together, Gottheimer told CNN. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, among the most vulnerable Democrats this cycle, acknowledged the challenge of getting legislation through. Quote, you know, I served in organizations that had missions and goals, and you worked to achieve that. It was rather straightforward. This place doesn't work like that. It doesn't function well, said Kelly, a Navy veteran and a former astronaut. The twin challenges of a 50-50 Senate and an ideologically diverse caucus has been, at times, a liability for Democrats seeking a cohesive message. After Democrats campaigned for years on increasing the corporate and wealthiest individual tax rates to make the tax code fairer, one member, Arizona Senator Kristen Sinema, drew a red line against it last year. Manchin's opposition to several social programs, including an expanded child tax credit, doomed the Build Back Better plan. And even now, there are major divides between Democrats on student loan debt forgiveness, immigration, and the most effective way to lower energy costs, making it harder for the party to hold the House and Senate in November. Quote, I have always had a cohesive message. It's not in sync with the other 49, Manchin said when asked if he thought Democrats had a unified message. On Thursday, Democratic leaders in the House and Senate held a news conference on their plans to penalize gas companies for what they said had been price gouging at the pump. But those plans face long odds of passing in the Senate, where Democrats would need 10 Republican votes and the backing of Manchin to move legislation. Sinema told CNN, quote, I think you should ask someone else when asked if Democrats had a clear message for the midterms. This is the definition of in trouble. This is a party that 2 years after Trump doesn't even know who they are, what they want, or what they're doing. Now, they do know that they want to groom your children for grown men to be with them. They do know that part. Everything else, however, seems to be a bit of a problem for them. No, they don't know what they're doing. They thought they were going to throw a few trinkets off the table and the black folk were just going to go along with whatever it was. But no, it didn't happen that way. So no, what they found out is they flicked some crumbs off the table and it didn't work. It didn't work because it couldn't work. So now they're desperate to say, okay, can we say something that people are going to go along with? No, Build Back Better has failed. The article goes on to say, now listen to this next part. Many Democrats interviewed for this story touted what Democrats have done with their majority. Well, let's hear what the Democrats say that they've done. This ought to be a hoot. They confirmed the country's first black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court. Man, if y'all don't stop with this bull jive, you have gotten all the mileage that you're ever gonna get out of Ketanji Brown Jackson. It's not like she was some hero that we all been backing and stomping for the last 40 years. It ain't like that's who she is. You're not going to get any mileage out of her. It's not like we all been sitting here stomping for her all this time and wishing that she was, well, we sure do wish that they would talk to Ketanji Brown Jackson. We've been waiting a while for her to talk. We sure do wish they would be. Nobody was waiting for that. No one was worried about that. But this is CNN confirming what I told you weeks ago, that they're saying, look, we just need a win. Give us something. These are desperate, shameless, feckless political advisors telling them, look, you need something. Even if it ain't pretty, you need something to go to your constituents with to say that you accomplished. You need something. And they are confirming literally what I told you all weeks ago. So they confirmed the country's first black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court, a woman who tells you that she cannot even define what a woman is. When she was asked what's a woman, she said she couldn't even define it. So how can you hold this? Take a look at your schizophrenia. You can't hold this up as an accomplishment because the candidate that you put on the Supreme Court told you, oh, I can't even define what a woman is. Hold this L. Confirmed the country's first black woman to the Supreme Court. Passed a massive COVID-19 relief package swiftly after Biden took office. Where's our reparations check? Found a way to work with the Republicans to pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill and are worth with Republicans on ironing out, I guess they meant to say, and working with Republicans on ironing out House and Senate differences on LA bill. Okay, somebody should have spell check this. A bill aimed at making the U.S. more competitive in industry with China. How about your U.S. corporations pull up the gangplank going into China? How about that one? How about that one? You know, China controls its industry. China strictly controls their industry. They tell their industry what you can do and what you can't, who you can work with and who you can't. Just thought I'd throw that out there. They go on to say, but the big ticket items that can drive Democratic voter enthusiasm, such as lowering the cost of child care, yawn, prescription drugs, old, climate legislation, what? A path to citizenship for certain undocumented immigrants, wait a minute, and raising taxes on corporations are still undone. How many of you are sitting at home right now saying, boy, you know, I ain't really trying to vote Democrat, but if they could lower the cost of child care for the 15th time, why, I would sure love to vote Dems. Why, you know about prescription drugs? You know, if we could just get us some climate legislation, I would sure love to. I could feel better about voting for them if there was some climate legislation. I'm worried about the ozone layer. You know, if the Democrats would give us give a path to citizenship for non-citizens, I'm really worried about that. I could go vote. I would really be enthusiastic to vote if they would figure out a way to make more of these illegal aliens legal. That would incentivize me to come vote. These people are out of their damn minds. No, they're not. It's called propaganda. It's called propaganda. They're going to tell you, oh, this is what folks are really interested in. Really? Because none of us have been talking about that. None of us. Now, listen to this next part here. Quote, we dithered around too much on things like Build Back Better, and we got to show we can make a decision. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia said, we've gotten some good things done, but I think we got to get more things done. It's not clear, though, what big ticket items could actually pass with just Democratic votes at this point. Manchin staff had been engaged with the White House on energy policy earlier this month, but so far those talks haven't yielded an agreement. Instead, Manchin had begun working with a bipartisan group of members on an all-of-the-above energy and climate package that would address energy policy on a bipartisan basis and likely fall short of the kind of climate bill progressives had once hoped for. For their part, Republicans are largely getting more bullish about their chances in the midterms, citing Democrats' lack of cohesive messaging as one reason. Quote, "There are a whole bunch of Democrats who are feeling really in a bad spot right now. I am just going to say that is my observation. They are in a lot of trouble politically, and their president isn't helping them. In fact, he is hurting them a lot," North Dakota Republican Senator Kevin Cramer said. National Republican Senatorial Committee Chairman Rick Scott blasted Democrats for not being responsive enough to voters in their messaging. Quote, "They are not reacting to what the public is talking about," Scott said. "They are not being responsive on inflation. They have no message on what happened in Afghanistan. They have no message, and they aren't doing anything about energy independence." And by the way, you ain't said a damn thing that has interested black people whatsoever. No matter what Bowling Ball Martin, Simone Sanders, or Joyless Reed have tried to tell you, you haven't said anything that's galvanized the grassroots. Nothing at all. It's gonna be a rough ride, guys. It's gonna be a hell of a rough ride. I'd love to tell you that they're trying, but that would be a lie. They don't even know what planet they're on right now. They don't even have a clue. So just understand, it is everything that I told you it would be. It's everything I said it would be. Plus some. Now I'd like to tell you, I would love to tell you, well, I guess they would love to be able to say that they figured out a way to get the train back on the tracks, but no, they haven't. I want to point this out and hold this up as one illustration of how clueless they are. One illustration of it. And that illustration is going to take us out west. But before we do that, we're going to take a very brief non-commercial break because I want to make sure that we cover this in whole. I want you to stick with us here because we're going out west. We're going out to California so that we can illustrate and emphasize just how clueless they really are about this. And once again, if you're just tuned in, if you're liking tonight's program, go ahead and click the like button and share the program here. I got a few things to say about California. Before we do, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal or Cash App. So Nicole Ivory, thank you very much. Miss Green and everybody else who supported the program here tonight, thank you very much for your support. When we come back, we'll be discussing this story and more. Hang on tight. This is The Black Channel.
Hey, I'm Marcus. For a while, I walked around with this empty feeling inside. I had a full-time job, but not in the field I wanted to be in. But then I came across this book where it was like the title was just for me. Guide to Being Black in IT. I read the book and the author took me through scenarios and gave me tips. I sat down and read it and it only took an hour. After I got done, I took advice in the book, practiced in the labs, and got certified. Then I literally got up and applied for a position with this company I've been looking at for a while and got the job. Thanks to that book, I worked my job with confidence. If you're looking to get into IT or even in the field, now this is a must-read book. Go to www.beingblackinit.com.
I am black first. I am empowered. I am on code. I am motivated. I am a proud foundational. My name is Naria Sellers, and nothing will come between us. Buy the sci-fi novel, Nothing Will Come Between Us. Order today at Amazon and Google Play. Visit spiritofo1811publishing.com. Our story, our family.
Join 6zeros.net, a forum built to discuss all things relevant to Black people. On our forum, a check doesn't mean you're famous. It means your Blackness has been verified by our staff.
Sorry, Chad.
We also have premium merchandise with same-day shipping on most orders. And when you're ready for some dope content, check out the 0 Hour blog.
Don't just sign up, post.
I'm having a really good time with you tonight.
I'm having a good time with you too.
Want to go somewhere private? Just for us?
I like that.
Great. Meet me at 6zeros.net. Black owned, Black operated.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
The future of legal betting is finally here. Place a bet using CashApp with Bitcoin right over the phone. Unlike with traditional gambling sites, every bet you place with us, you're guaranteed a 50% probability of winning. All of our bets are one-on-one against a real person and never the house. We offer some of the most unique bets in the industry. Bets like, will LeBron James win his 5th NBA title? Will Joe Biden be elected for a second term? Will Tesla be worth $1 trillion by the end of 2022? You can even bet on if it will rain tomorrow. You can literally bet on any future event. Text the phrase I bet to the number on the screen, and I'll reply with a list of all our available bets.
Are you tired of being overcharged and forced into paying a monthly subscription for your Mac and Windows software? Well, if you are, currently we're having a 50% off discount on all the latest Mac and Windows software, such as AutoCAD, SolidWorks, Photoshop, Microsoft Office, and much more. Our 50% off discount will be ending soon, so be sure to text us Need Software to 323-407-8214. That's 323-407-8214. We aim to please, so expect 24/7 technical support, the latest premium software, instant software links delivered to your email, and PayPal's buyer's protection guarantee.
When you need a reliable influx of capital to grow your business, Spectre Capital Finance provides fast, individualized working capital loans with lines of credit to take your business to the next level. SpectreCapitalFinance.com.
This is The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all this evening. And one more thing, just want to send a special thank you to everyone who contributed for New Black Media Appreciation Month. Thank you very much. Like I say, it's always good to know we have the support of the people. You have the support of the grassroots. It's always good to have that. So I want to send a special thanks out to all of you who have shown your respects and everything else. It is a thankless job, and you're unsung heroes. But I want you to know that I definitely see what you do, and I appreciate that as well. Now, what I want to talk about here next, man, oh man, what I want to talk about here next, I think this is just a really good indication of where things are. The Los Angeles Times has decided to weigh in, and in a move that shocked absolutely no one. We talked about this here a few weeks ago on our program, What Black Politicians Think You Want. We got to talk about this, and Karen Bass, they have decided they gotta What do black politicians really support? Well, boy, wait till you hear this here. LA Times has weighed in, and now they made it official that they are officially endorsing Karen Bass for Los Angeles mayor. Now, we all know that really only means one thing. Well, this will be guaranteed she won't do anything for black folk. Well, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I really think there is a lot to learn in this regard. I think there's a lot to learn. And I want you to just hang on here for a few moments. Hang on here for a few moments because there's some things I want you to learn in this article, and also from the candidate herself. Now, the article starts off by saying, these are pessimistic days in Los Angeles. In focus groups, surveys, and polls, the same themes keep resurfacing. Residents are angry and frustrated by the continued human suffering of the homelessness crisis. They're dissatisfied with the quality of life. They're worried about having money to pay their rent or mortgage, more fearful of rising crime, and feeling the pinch of inflation and rising gas prices. Folks, I gotta tell you, $5 a gallon and $6 a gallon gas in California, but Los Angeles in particular, it ain't no thing to find that. It ain't no thing. But let's see what the LA Times thinks the answer is. In a climate of fear and discontent, politics can turn ugly. Politics are always ugly. That's the point of politics. Opportunistic politicians pander to people's emotions, offering themselves as the strong man to bring order. Well, when you have a problem, shouldn't you have a strong man to bring order? Duh. Others offer simplistic solutions that might make the problems less visible or provide some temporary relief, but don't address the underlying conditions. We've been here before. Okay. Faced with a dramatic rise in homelessness in the 1980s, LA leaders responded with cots, tent cities, trailers, and ultimately the criminalization of the homeless, rather than enough affordable homes and services to help keep the vulnerable housed. The crack epidemic of the 80s was met with the militarization of policing and mass incarceration rather than a public health response to addiction. Okay, let's cut that bull crap off right now. Nobody talked about drugs as a public health crisis until it was time to mass incarcerate white folk. Soon as it was time to mass incarcerate white folk, all of a sudden, drugs were no longer a criminal problem. They were now a public health issue. We were talking about it as a public health issue back in the 80s, and the LA Times and other outlets didn't have a word for us and didn't want to hear it then. So, okay. We'd like to think that Los Angeles has recognized the mistakes of the past. Voters have voted to tax themselves to pay for homeless housing and services and have embraced criminal justice reforms designed to rehabilitate rather than just incarcerate. And yet, the public mood can shift quickly when anger, fear, and frustration set in, which is why the candidates for mayor are again talking about temporary tent cities and trailers and enlarging the police department. Now, I want you to remember that sentence in particular. The LA Times has a problem with people talking about enlarging the police department. Keep that sentence in mind. They go on to say, that's why voters are fortunate to have an extraordinarily qualified, battle-tested, mission-driven leader on the ballot. The Times recommends Karen Bass for LA's next mayor. So you already know the damn fix is in and ain't nothing gonna happen here. Bass brings nearly 2 decades of governing experience, including helping lead the state through extremely difficult times as the Assembly Speaker during the Great Recession and state budget crisis. She has a reputation as a thoughtful, pragmatic, collaborative leader who never loses focus on the core reasons she entered public service, ensuring that no segment of society falls through the cracks. Black folk done fell through every damn crack in Los Angeles. Black folk have fallen through every damn crack in Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Times at this point is a science fiction magazine, is what it is. The Los Angeles Times is now a science fiction magazine. I mean, it's right up there with, Science Fiction Weekly and Marvel Comics. It really is. It really is. They say as a physician's assistant working in the emergency room, that qualifies you to be mayor, Bass saw how homelessness, substance abuse, untreated mental illness, and violence were upending people's lives. As the crack epidemic and crime ravaged South Los Angeles, she formed the Community Coalition to press leaders to address the deeper health, social, and economic problems fueling the crime and upheaval. After the 1992 uprising, interesting, so now the Los Angeles Times refers to the 1992 LA riots. They now refer to it as an uprising. Well, isn't that interesting? So black folk taken to the streets to fight white supremacist policing policies and violence against black people. All of us, now the LA Times refers to it as the 1992 uprising. Now, please remember, this article is written by the editorial board of the LA Times, not a single writer. This comes from the editorial board of the LA Times as a singular entity. So this is telling you that now the position of the LA Times is that the 1992 riots, after the assault of Rodney King, which was really, the riots were the result of all the things that had happened for decades before them, all of a sudden now it's an uprising. It's not a riot anymore. When we called it an uprising, they told us we were radicals. Now that they need our vote, now all of a sudden it's an uprising. Oh. Well, kind of interesting how that happened there, huh? After the 1992 uprising, the coalition organized neighborhoods to close problem liquor stores, clean up nuisance properties that were magnets for crime, and advocate for equal city services. That community-informed activism helps explain why Bass, as a congresswoman, has rejected calls to defund the police. Why she helped draft the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act that would have directed millions of dollars towards reforming police practices. Okay, you're directing millions of dollars to the police departments and saying, here, we're going to give you money. You should spend this on reforming yourselves or new cars, billy clubs, and AR-15s, whichever you choose. And why she now proposes maintaining the size of the LAPD force while also investing in crime prevention programs. Now, you remember I told you all before in that previous paragraph when it said that the public mood can shift quickly when anger, fear, and frustration set in, which is why the candidates for mayor are again talking about temporary tent cities and trailers and enlarging the police department. They then go on and talk about this is why we're fortunate to have someone like Karen Bass running for mayor. They tried to make it seem like she's one bit different. They talked about all of her, quote, activism in the community, and the activism in the community led her to do what? Why, Congressman Bass has rejected calls to defund the police. As a matter of fact, she wants to, what they're not telling the truth about is she wants to increase funding and call it police reform. Well, now I want you all to understand the new trick language. The new trick language is increasing police funding by calling it police reform. We're going to give the police department millions of dollars to reform itself. So just recognize what the new trick bag language from the Democrats is. Police reform comes with a whole bunch of money. Here you go. Here's millions of dollars to reform yourselves. Did you catch that? This approach may antagonize those who want to cut the number of police officers, but Bass told the editorial board, quote, "You can have safety and justice at the same time." You see, this is what the Democrats, what their so-called black representatives and black advisors and consultants told them. Their advisors and consultants told them that when black folk are upset, what you got to talk to them differently than you do white folk. You see, with white folk and basically any non-black people, when they tell you what to do, you say yes, a boss, and pop to attention. But with black folk, you push back. You tell black people, no, we can't do that. We won't do that. You need to just accept whatever we give you. See, that's the way that they deal with black people's concerns, is to tell black folk no. To tell black folk, sit your ass down. I mean, they get real sharp and real flip at the mouth when it comes to talking to black folk. Just outright telling you, yeah, we ain't doing that. Now, what I want to do here next is I want to skip down here a little bit because they start talking about other things. They say, contrast that with billionaire developer Rick Caruso, who is neck and neck with Bass in recent polls. Yikes. His ubiquitous ads suggest he alone can solve homelessness, cut crime, or eliminate public corruption. He says he will, quote, demand assistance from the governor, legislature, and federal government to fund shelters and homeless services, and he'll make it mandatory for the independent city attorney to prosecute low-level crimes. Surely Caruso knows better. He's no City Hall neophyte. He served on the commission overseeing the Department of Water and Power and the Los Angeles Police Department. He knows that LA's mayor has limited powers and relies heavily on the cooperation of the city council, along with county and state government, to make transformational change. Among the other candidates in the race, the editorial board has strongly supported both City Councilman Kevin DeLeon and City Attorney Mike Feuer in their previous elections, for good reason. As State Senate Leader, DeLeon had a big impact on developing ambitious solutions to major problems. How's that worked out so far? Listen to this next sentence. As a city council member since 2020, he has also pursued big plans to address homelessness by overhauling the permitting process and building 25,000 housing units by 2025, though it's too early to gauge his success. This is the LA Times. We also endorsed Mr. DeLeon. He's got big plans. They're going to build 25,000 housing units, but it's too early to gauge his success. Through his career as a city council person, state legislator, and now city attorney, Feuer has been the creative, common sense problem solver while trying to address gun violence, consumer fraud, or housing affordability. But the fallout from the Department of Water and Power billing scandal, including the federal corruption charges against one of Feurer's top assistants and an outside attorney, has put a cloud over his office. It's disappointing that council member and former LAPD officer Joe Buscaino has decided to position himself as the hard-on homelessness candidate for mayor. He understands the complexities and challenges of solving the homeless and housing crisis, but has resorted to stunts and tough talk. Among the other candidates on the ballot, Mel Wilson, a real estate agent, Ramit Varma, tech entrepreneur. You get the point. For this race and this moment, no other candidate can match Bass's experience, track record, sophisticated grasp of the problems plaguing Los Angeles, and her vision of how to move forward. Well, I would like to take a moment here. Now that I've read that for you all, now that you've heard what the editorial board of the LA Times has to say for Karen Bass, now that you have heard that here, I thought it might be a good opportunity for us here to go ahead and hear what the candidate has to say for herself. And let's see if she's got some words of wisdom that she can bring forward here and some words of encouragement. And as the Democrats are in trouble out there, she's a U.S. representative, but she plans on bringing all of this great experience, this wealth of experience that she's gained. The LA Times is behind her. Got to be some good things up in here, so just sit back, smile and dial, and listen to the great Karen Bass reassure you.
I think the entire mentality that we approach this problem has to be different. We have to look at it.
Now she's talking about homelessness in Los Angeles, which, by the way, I've been in Los Angeles many a time over the last 7-8 years. And the homelessness is now just creeped across the damn freeway flooding into downtown is what it's doing here now. So that's what you got going on. So when they're talking about homelessness there, when she's talking about the problem, they're talking about homelessness.
I think the entire mentality that we approach this problem has to be different. We have to look at it like it's an emergency. And I know everybody's calling for, declaring a state of emergency. I would do that too. But on a local level, that's really not enough. I think that there needs to be federal involvement and state involvement. Now, in order for there to be a federal state of emergency, the governor has to declare that. I've certainly been talking to the White House about this. For HUD, HHS, they need to waive some of the regulations on vouchers. We need to waive regulations in HHS around substance abuse and mental health. If you approach it with that kind of mentality,
well,
I think we can expedite the building, we can expedite the siting, but it's about mobilizing. It's really not enough. I think that there needs to be federal involvement and state involvement. Now, in order for there to be a federal state of emergency, the governor has to declare that. I've certainly been talking to the White House about this. For HUD, HHS, they need to waive some of the regulations on vouchers. We need to waive regulations in HHS around substance abuse and mental health. If you approach it with that kind of mentality, I think we can expedite the building, we can expedite the siting. But
okay, so Karen Bass says that we need more drug users and felons. We got to have suitable housing for drug use. Your tax dollars need to go for drug using and felons. All right. I wonder if they'll be in her neighborhood. But by the way, we need to have a waiver for drug users and felons. We need to Section 8. We got to build more housing, and now not just build more, but by the way, build more housing and a waiver for felons and drug users, because we don't have enough of that in public housing. All right. Got that taken care of. Yeah, this is Karen Bass, the LA Times choice for mayor of Los Angeles. All right, maybe I'm too damn cynical. Maybe we need to try a different issue here. Why don't we just talk about quality of life in the city altogether here? Maybe Miss Bass can reassure us there.
When as mayor, how are you going to balance the priorities? What are you going to pay for first? What is your top priorities for funding?
Okay, well, about the city's budget, what are you going to pay for first? What would you like to do there? Sensible question. Let's hear what Miss Bass has to say.
The first job of the mayor is definitely to keep the city safe. And given that we've been talking about homelessness, but we also know that people are very, very concerned about the uptick in crime.
Okay, let me stop y'all for a minute here. Now, if you'll all remember, when Donald Trump was running for president, he said that in order to have a prosperous society, you've got to have a safe one. Well, this is what the Republicans always say. The first responsibility is to keep the citizens safe. Well, they're not safe from illegals. They're not safe from illegal human smugglers, illegal drug traffickers. Matter of fact, they've laid out the red carpet and the yellow brick road for them. But by the way, the first responsibility of the mayor is to, quote, keep the citizens safe. My first responsibility is to keep the citizens safe. So I'm just wondering, I'm wondering where this is gonna go Now that you said the first responsibility of the mayor is to keep the citizens, quote, safe, I'm wondering where this is going to go.
Significant budget challenge. When as mayor, how are you going to balance the priorities? What are you going to pay for first? What is your top priorities for funding?
The first job of the mayor is definitely to keep the city safe. And given that we've been talking about homelessness, but we also know that people are very, very concerned about the uptick in crime. Some people propose cutting the police budget. I think I don't propose that. We have to make sure that we can maintain the resources that we have now. But again, even if the federal government is not going to send the money like they have been in terms of the rescue package, one of the things that I discovered a couple of years ago is that the mayor's office doesn't have a development department. I want to create a development department and hire staff that do nothing but look for money. So I also discovered that LA leaves money on the table. LA doesn't apply for all of.
Okay, so she wants to ask the federal government for more money because Los Angeles doesn't tax its people enough. By the way, she wants to ask the federal government for more money. That's the definition of clueless. Yeah, because Los Angeles doesn't tax its citizens enough. And of course, you need more money from the federal government because you have to pay for all the free health care for the illegals. You got to pay for that. You got to pay for all the LGBT indoctrination for your children. We got to foot the bill for that. Yeah, we got to take care of the bathhouse culture. We got to make sure that we're keeping those fully funded. Got to take care of that. Yeah, we got to make sure that the essentials are being paid for. Because, of course, you are not taxing the citizens enough. No, there's money to pay for the illegal aliens. Plenty of money for that. Plenty of money there. No, don't bother them. Plenty of money there. Ask the governor. Ask the mayor. They're bringing them in on tour buses every day. Drop it in, come on in. As a matter of fact, we'll give you an IOU. But, of course, I want to make sure you didn't miss that part right there because I think that's kind of important.
And even if the federal government is not going to governor
budget challenge, when as mayor,
job of the mayor is definitely to keep the city safe. And given that we've been talking about homelessness, but we also know that people are very, very concerned about the uptick in crime. Some people propose cutting the police budget. I think I don't propose that.
Yeah, buddy, see. Every time you turn around, Jimbo Jangles Clyburn, Joe Biden, Karen Bass, I'm telling you, folks, what they're telling you is there isn't a single overfunded police department in America. They all need to have Humvees, Bearcats, AR-15s, helicopters, attack dogs. There's not a single overfunded police department in this country. None. Not a one. Not even one. State-of-the-art gyms. Everything else, not a single one. There's not a single wasteful police department in this nation. The police departments are paragons of economic efficiency. Yeah, the government's not running anything else efficiently except the police departments. If you let Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Karen Bass, Jimbo Jangles Clyburn, let them tell it, everything is completely efficient at the police departments. Now, everything else, not so sure about. But the police departments, nope, don't. So if you vote for Republicans, you're voting to increase police funding. If you vote for Democrats, You're voting to increase police funding. And before now, when you have Bowling Ball Martin, the reason why he's upset. And by the way, for those of you who have not gone and checked out that video yet, we almost got that one to 100,000 views. Roland Martin attacks Jason Black. If you haven't checked that video out, Roland tried to get it pulled off of YouTube. He tried to get it blocked for a little while off of YouTube. He was upset that folk were going to see it. He tried to stall it around for a week or two. Man, that the Streisand effect is real. So if you haven't checked that video out, do yourselves a favor. My goal is to get that video over 100,000 views. So check that video out. He mad for a reason. He didn't want anyone to see it. Let's make sure everybody sees it. But as it stands here now, all of their propagandists and spokespersons who are supposed to sit up here and make it easier to vote for these things, they don't have anything to stand on now. They don't have a leg to stand on. They don't have anything. They all sound the same now. No matter where you are, they all sound the same. And the LA Times backs Karen Bass, but you notice there wasn't a word, not a syllable in there about black folk. Not a syllable in there. And the LA Times seems to be all in for Karen Bass. And I'm asking myself, they go back into her history. And I'm just asking myself, I'm just wondering, I'm like all of you, I'm a bit curious. I'm a bit curious. I took a look back over her track record also. She don't have a lot to say about black folk, and the LA Times seems to be very comfortable with her. They're not saying a word about black folk either, so I don't know. Something makes me feel ill at ease, and I feel like it's been a long-term issue, a long-standing issue. So, like I say, I'm just trying to, we're checking the paperwork. I've checked the paperwork, and the paperwork comes back dirty as hell, and it doesn't seem to be a new thing. So, doesn't seem to be a new thing. Not a new thing. No, for those of you wondering, that's Karen Bass and her late ex-husband. By the way. No, she's not foundational either, but Karen Bass and her late ex-husband couldn't help but notice that, and the LA Times is giddy as hell and chomping at the bit to put her in a position of power, which means that she will simply maintain the status quo. Then again, I could be wrong. This will be your opportunity to weigh in now. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. And as always, you are welcome to join us. So make sure that you go ahead and give us a call here. Not going to be on terribly long here tonight, but I do want to give you an opportunity to sound off on this as well. And everything that we've been saying to you the entire time, if you want to know about their desperation, if you want to know if it's going bad, if you want to know why it is that they're worried, if you want to know why it is that things seem like the Keystone Cops all this time, it is because they are desperate for something. But when you take a look at Los Angeles, you are seeing a quintessential example of what progress for them looks like. They galvanize people to come vote. They've galvanized you to come vote. They galvanize you to come out and vote for the status quo. They galvanize you to vote for the status quo. One of the reason why you have so much homelessness is driven by drug use, but also by inflated housing prices. And you've turned it into a place where people, as an entry level, it's very, very easy to find yourself homeless there. I think they said they got like 40,000 homeless people in that city. And the real thing is to let the problem fester and grow to a point that you will accept whatever solution they fling off the table at you. like a saw blade that's broken loose from the machine. But what they're not talking about is what you actually need there. They're not talking about consolidating wealth. They're not talking about cutting spending. They're not talking about that. And when they had the opportunity to mass incarcerate black folk, they jumped at it. Now they don't have a leg to stand on. Now they're going into midterms. Now they're looking for mayorships. Now they're realizing it's not going so well. And there isn't anything that I just said about Karen Bass that makes anybody excited to come vote for her. That's why some billionaire real estate developer basically has her neck and neck in the race. A career lifelong politician versus a real estate developer, and it's neck and neck. When this should be a slam dunk, and yet it is not. Yes, they're very worried, and they're very worried for a reason. So when we get together and say, you know what, why don't we just stay home? Y'all got to understand the Democrats have deliberately worked together with the Republicans to whittle the black population down to about 6% in Los Angeles. So guess what? 6% is enough to decide who becomes mayor. 6% is enough to decide who becomes mayor. So yeah, they want to galvanize just enough for you to show up. Okay, thanks for getting us in office. Now get your ass out of here. We'll take it from here. But recognize what you're really looking at. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is Onan from Queens.
Onan from Queens. What's on your mind?
Yeah, the Democratic Party is in trouble. For so long, they've just relied on the black vote to carry them into office, and they've taken us for granted. I remember as far back as 2004, when John Kerry and George Bush ran for president. I was at Morehouse at the time, and I remember standing in line, and I remember this brother holding up a poster saying, vote for the black slate. And there was no discussion on the tangibles that we would receive or any type of policies that would benefit foundational black Americans. It was just, go out and vote because this is your civic duty and you don't need to expect anything from us. And it worked for so long because the civil rights generation, in my estimation, sold us out. They just wanted us to go along with the program. And I feel like the Democratic Party doesn't understand that it's a new day. And the young people, particularly the millennials and Gen Zers, they're not going for it. They've become politically savvy. They're not a politically reliable base like our forefathers. And they're in a desperate position.
Well, a big difference is that previously the civil rights generation, prior to the 60s, they compared notes with each other. After the 60s, they became very self-absorbed. They were more concerned about enjoying, quote, indulging in the American dream than they were in empowerment for themselves. And they really just wanted to be assimilated. We're the first generation since then that actually compares notes with each other. In the internet age, we get to compare, hey, how you living in LA? How you living in Queens? How you living in New Orleans? How you living in Detroit? How y'all living in DC? How you living in Atlanta? And you start noticing some severe similarities. You start noticing it's very, very similar no matter where you go. So at some point you start to realize, well, damn, either we're all just equally unlucky or this is a part of the strategy. It's a part of the plan. Then you make the mistake of going to your elders and asking for direction, and they're either going to tell you Jesus will provide or vote for the Democrats and hope for the best. And you're like, I've read the track record and everything, and it's not a religion. They're obviously not in our best interest. So we're not looking for a pat on the head or acceptance like previous generations did. So we're asking questions that previously were not asked. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a caller from area code 702. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Jason, it's Cal in Vegas. I just wanted to say one quick thing. Of course, I'm staying home, and I'm not involving myself in anything that doesn't involve Black empowerment, and that means that I'll probably be out of voting for the next couple of election cycles. That being said, I think it is important for the people of South Carolina to get out and do what you need to do for Great Marcel Dixon. And I do not see a contradiction in that at all. And I just wondered what your thought process was on it.
Well, certainly, right now, I would endorse a rocking chair over Jimbo Jangles. Long story short.
Exactly.
If I had choice between him and a rocking chair, the rocking chair would get my vote. It's not a very high bar to clear. Thank you very much for giving us a call. If the rocking chair supports a Black agenda, let me put that criterion on it. By the way, if the rocking chair supports a Black agenda, even if I gotta use a Ouija board to figure out if it does, if the rocking chair supports a Black agenda, I'll vote for him. Caller from area code 505. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Jason. This is Najee calling from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Najee from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Glad to speak with you. What's on your mind, brother?
These Team Blue bastards, they're basically, they're back the blue and vote blue no matter who. I had a bit of, you talked about, a code where we back each other who's in the B1, who's making the sacrifices, we back each other, that sort of thing. So I had a couple of questions for you. The first one's pretty simple and you can answer right away. The other one you can go on about. But number one is simple. Can I send you an email? But number two, did it seem to you like 2020 and George Floyd and all of that was brought about by some kind of catalyst?
I mean, yeah, the catalyst is called 400 years of history. So, long story short. And just people were out, not home, there's the pandemic and whatever going on. But I mean, basically, you're going to see that happen from time to time. The reason why it's more potent now is because we can compare notes. That's the difference. But you can go ahead and shoot me an email. Thank you very much for giving me a call tonight here. Oh, yeah, by the way, in the chat room, if Jimbo Jangles Fish Fry is coming up, I would like to ask something right now. If Jimbo Jangles Fish Fry is coming up, I want to send a request to all my people in the Carolinas area. If you're a member of the Black Channel, if you're a listener here, the Black Channel, I don't know, maybe y'all can get Marcel to go show up for it or whatever. But for those of y'all who are in that area, I think we should go and see Jimbo Jangles at the Fish Fry. I think we should. I want you to get a black t-shirt is what I want you to do. Anybody with a black t-shirt. Black t-shirts and black ball caps. And I think it'd be and take your cell phones with you. And I think it would be very interesting if you all would show up there at the Fish Fry. I think it'd be very interesting if we showed up at the Fish Fry. That's right. We're going to have to pull up at the Fish Fry. So for those of you who are in the area there, I want you to do me a favor. Go with your cell phones. I want you to go with your cell phones and tell Jimbo Jangles, reparations or resign. Reparations or resign. You ain't said nothing about cutting the check. Cut the check. Reparations or resign. I want to know who is in that area. I'm posted up. But who is in that area? I want to know who's there for that. I want to know who's down for it. If you're in that Carolinas area there and you're down for the pull-up, if you're down for the pull-up at Jimbo Jangles Fish Fry, and if you get it on video and whatnot, I want you to get at me. If you get it on video, I want you to get at me. I know folks are like, well, really? Yeah, really. Don't talk about it, be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. So if you're in that area there, go ahead and let us know. It doesn't matter because the Carolinas are not a huge piece of geography like that. Well, east to west they are, but north and south they're not. So if you're in that area there, go ahead and let us know. Go ahead and let us know. We want to find out about that. It'd be good to have that on video and whatnot, because that's the kind of thing that we want to have. We want to have our own video about this, because that's what busts through those things. That's what busts through those things. The media filter is going to try to act like everybody is loving it and it's all great and it's all good and gravy. More black anybody. If you're in that South Carolina area, don't be bull jiving around looking to go to Myrtle Beach and whatnot. We can pull up one weekend. We can pull up one weekend and get it on video so that, CNN's not going to say it. MSNBC is not going to say it. To my mods there, I want y'all to see, I want us to post up the information about that. I want us to post up the information about exactly when and where the fish fry is going to be at. I want to know exactly when and where the fish fry is going to be at. Since he loves doing that and whatnot, let's go ahead and find out exactly where in the world that's going to be at, and let's pull up. Let me get caller from area code 618. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Miriam calling from East St. Louis, Illinois.
Okay, Miriam from East St. Louis. What's on your line?
Yes. I would like to add that was just brilliant, what you just said. I think that if we show up in solidarity, and for those people who are in those areas of our B1 people who are running, that we decide to throw our weight behind after they've been vetted and approved of, is excellent. Because we need to make sure that they know that the black grassroots means business, and we are there to oppose their sing-along, ham-hock eating agendas. And as far as that Karen Bass character, this piece of work, this Zaddy-loving tether, married to another tether, we need to just call her out on her ridiculous, her being ridiculous, and that swift mouth of hers. She is such a joker. And I'm enjoying your program, and I tell a lot of other black, foundational black, as well as B1, one and the same, people of my community. We 99.9% black. We do have a few people of so-called Asian descent, as well as a few Caucasians in our community, but we're 99% black, and we're spreading the word, brother, and I make sure that it's my duty to spread our black media grassroots mindset amongst the people. I've been pro-black and about us, for us, about us, and our reparations, and cut that check since I've been 16 years of age, and I don't take no for an answer. Because it's time for women to, to woman up, and men to man up. Be about it, like you said. Just don't talk about it. Be about it.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 803. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Peace and greetings, King Authority. This is Silent D calling out of Atlanta, Georgia, originally from Columbia, South Carolina.
Silent D out of Atlanta. What's on your mind, brother?
Okay, so let's talk about the desperation of the Democrats, which, of course, it is just blatant to this point that everything is a big joke, and they know we're not going to go for the narrative, so they have to throw everything they can, use a lot of trick words, as you did point out, and, of course, they have to throw in tethers that look like us, kind of, but they're not, especially this Karen Bass, which I've never really heard of her too much, but I've never really felt right about her. And appropriate name appropriate for her last name too, a bass, considering the fact that she looks like a bass fish. And as far as showing up at the fish fry, I'm gonna have to take your offer up on that because I'm not very fond about Jimbo Jangles myself. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you so much for these great broadcasts, very much needed. Keep doing what you got to do. Be one king.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here, brother. Let me get caller from area code 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, big brother. This is Brother Elijah calling out of Los Angeles, California.
Elijah out of Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
Brother, before I say anything else, thank you for last week's broadcast. That was amazing. It took me into another world. All right, and I want our brother to win because you really helped us out with that one. Thank you, brother. Tonight's based on tonight's broadcast, I have to say, prior to when I listened to that last broadcast about Karen Bass, who does politicians really serve, I liked her up until that broadcast, only because I thought she was being Karen when my brother Nip got killed out here in Los Angeles, until you exposed what she's really about and everything like that. And then there was one thing I wanted to add. When you talk about it's real easy to be homeless, they have what you call a nuisance abatement, where they're just taking your property, accusing you of being a gang member or associating with them, and then taking your property from you and putting you in the streets as well.
Well, that can happen to you too. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. What I've done is I have posted the information here online. As a matter of fact, I think that you can see about that as well. So if you want information about the whereabouts of the fish fry, I went ahead and posted that. And by the way, it looks like there's an Eventbrite for it. Looks like they got an Eventbrite for it too. So May 7th between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., 3923 Azalea Drive in North Charleston, South Carolina. North Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, boy, I'm telling you, they're real good about that. They're real good about that. Okay. Well, just so you know here, I just wanted to make sure you all were aware, in case anybody was wondering, well, Jason, you working overtime. I'm doing my thing over here. But by the way, it just came to mind here. By the way, might want to be something, some of y'all here in the area and whatnot, don't talk about it, be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. Okay, they'll be trying to say that we ain't there. They'll be trying to say that, oh, they just loved him over there. Okay. All right. Now you got the information for it. So for those of y'all in that South Carolina area, so that's Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Y'all know y'all come through there all the time. It's sandwiched in between the two of them. It's North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina. It's time to pull up. It's time to pull up. Even if he's not there, I want my people there. I want y'all there in black t-shirts and black ball caps. That's what I want y'all to have. Black t-shirts and black ball caps with your cell phones out. Black t-shirts, black ball caps. Do we need to have a fundraiser so we can get some of y'all some black t-shirts? Do we need that? Do we need that? I'm just saying. So you got that. I had to go and look the information up real quick right here. But by the way, go ahead and let us know. Caller from area code 919. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Maurice. I'm from Durham, North Carolina.
Maurice from Durham, North Carolina. Brother, you going to pull up?
I'm trying to. I got work. I might have to call out and pull up.
Man, look here. Get your baby mama to get your baby mama to go. Give her $20. At least have your baby mama go down there.
I may have to do that. But what I wanted to speak on is Karen Bass and these non-SBA coons. I'm half FBA. My mom is from Panama. My father's from Chicago. And these non-FBA coons are the absolute worst. America dropped bombs and killed innocent people in Panama. And these niggas on my Panamanian side of the family still caping for the white supremacists. And that's to show you how wayward these non-FBA coons are. And that's all I have to say. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Hey, we ain't taking no excuses now. I got to work. Okay, get your Uncle Leroy to go. Tell him, look, nigga, you owe me that $20 from last year. You get your ass down there to this damn fish fry. Yeah, you can go eat something while you're there. Put on this black t-shirt, this black ball cap, take the cell phone camera. Try not to be doing too much dancing. Come on now, let's not have that. I want to know who is in that South Carolina area and you're ready for the pull-up. Let me get called from area code 510. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's good? This is Cash. I'm born Chicago, raised California. I'm in New York now.
Okay, where at in California?
I was raised in Oakland, Alameda, and then San Diego, Chula Vista, El Cajon, La Mesa.
All right, well, you say he was staying ahead of them revenuers. What's on your mind, brother?
Yeah, my dad was in the Navy and then divorced and all that. But I wanted to just speak to two things real quick, money and homelessness, which was kind of what Karen Bass was speaking to as well. First of all, in Oregon, there's Senate Bill 619, which offers lifetime payments of $123,000 tax-free, but it doesn't mention our land. And it hasn't passed, by the way, but it's a precedent that's been set. I looked at how can Oregon afford that without going to the federal government. They got $130 million just from marijuana taxes alone. So I called into the California task force and said that since California has $847 million for marijuana taxes and the cost of living is higher there, if they're going to propose reparations, it needs to be $1 million a year in lifetime payments. And then I was like, this year, $1 billion they've reached with cannabis taxes just in the first 3 quarters. And I put in the chat that $68 billion is how much they have in excess dollars for tax surplus this year that Gavin Newsom's supposed to be over. And that's according to state Senate Democrats. So I guess she's caught out of the loop on what excess dollars they already have in California to work with. Now, as far as homelessness, my issue with the Oregon bill is that they forgot about our 40 acres and a mule, which needs an update, I would argue. In California, there's 45 million acres federally still owned. And that would mean that if every black American, which is 2 million of us, foundational black American, receives the 40 acres claim, that would be 80 million acres, which they can't achieve. But if each of us gets 22.5 and marries a black person, we would get our 40 acres claim in California. Lastly, I wanted to say that Katie Porter, who's some white lady from Irvine, she's a congresswoman, she's telling white oil executives that they need to give 13 million acres of land back to the federal government because they have it set aside to drill oil, which they're not doing currently. If we as the black community argue that we're going to be tied to the solar panel industry by building solar panels on our land, we will disproportionately be the ones who take that land and move us into a green energy future, powering our own vehicles and businesses and so on and so forth. Thank y'all for the space and time, B1.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. By the way, like I say, we're keeping tabs on this right now. To my folks in the Carolinas, I ain't playing. For those of you either listening live or recorded, I ain't playing. And don't tell me about the Eventbrite either, by the way. Took a look at that right quick. By the way, it looks like it's free. So to register is free. You got no excuses. Well, Jason, you know, they take about child support payments, Jason. I understand that. You ain't got no excuse. Jason, my car ain't running. Nigga, Uber. One of y'all out there got to have a 2012 Chevy Tahoe. You can pick the other 5 or 6 up. No excuses. It really ain't. Caller from area code 601. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, brother? This is Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi.
Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi. What's on your mind?
I got something to add to that South Carolina call out. Something I think that we need to have them question them too and have questions like such. Why is it that Senator was a Congressman Clyburn? Why did he vote to or he bring a bill forth to give Catawba Indians land who scalped our ancestors in South Carolina? why did he vote to give Ukrainians who are non-citizens resources when they're non-citizens, and the foundation of Black Americans have not got anything? Why did he vote to give Asian Americans resources in the forms of cash payments, but he hasn't given a single dime to foundation of Black Americans? And why is it that every year in the state of South Carolina, they talk about closing down his alma mater, South Carolina State? He ain't done a damn thing about it. That's all I got, brother. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Like I say, I mean, I don't know. I might send a holler at Marcel's people. I might, although they're probably going to be looking for him, to be totally honest. So they might be looking for him. That's not an excuse not to. But like I say, if you're going to give him backup on it, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. Everybody pull up. Marcel, D-Cell, Intro, whatever you got. Everybody can go ahead and do that. So that's the kind of thing I want to talk about here. Who's going to pull up? Let me know. I want to get your videos. I want everything. I want anybody who's going to be pulling up, anybody who's going to be live on the scene. There's really no excuse about it here. Hey, don't talk about it, be about it. You can be there in person for it. You can be there in person for it. So if you really are concerned about those things, and if that's really what you're thinking about, then there's the thing to do about it. Don't wait for Joy Reid and all the rest of these people. Don't wait for them. Don't wait for them. Jason, are you serious? Yes, I am serious. Yes, I am. I am absolutely serious. Don't you know old Roland Martin is going to be trying to talk about it now? Why are you going to, all these folks out here you over there agitating and why are you over there agitating now? Call from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TVA, this is 13 Black out of Chicago.
13 Black out of Chicago. What's on your mind?
Family, TVA set the play for us, so now we just got to follow through. I say this, if we have somebody talk, then the next person need to be recording. Pull up game strong. That's all I got, TVA.
All day. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Like I say, I mean, folks, it's not our opportunity to complain about these things. I didn't set up this apparatus to get up here and complain about it and whatnot. It's about doing something about it. I've done the billboard thing. I've done the TV ad thing. I've done the pull-up thing. You know me. You know me. So I'm just saying right now, at this point right now, if you really have an issue with that, and for those of you who live in the Carolinas, period, this is the kind of thing that sets a precedent. Don't look for your cable TV news outlets to talk about these things. But remember, we don't need them to, because news breaks on the internet. Remember? News breaks on the internet. News breaks on the internet. You never know when there's gonna be a viral moment. You never know when there's gonna be a viral moment. You never know when there's gonna be a moment that could change the complexion of everything. Okay, folks like to sit around with their cell phones and whatnot. Okay, but that's not how you change things. You change things by getting up and going in person. You change things by being active in the real world. So just understand, don't sit up here and think you're powerless. You're far from powerless. The MSNBCs and CNNs and ABCs, they want you to think that you're powerless and that the only place that matters when it speaks is their corporate media outlets. They want you to believe that. They want you to believe that the only video and the only footage of any of these politicians is what they bring to you. They don't want you to believe that there is anything else out there. They don't want you to believe that anything else exists. And this is an opportunity to show that, yeah, other things exist. Call from area code 718. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, I'm Babs from Brooklyn. Thank you for tonight. And like I said, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, because a lot of people have been feeling this way for a long time and had nobody to read. But I lived in LA or in California, And it just seems like even if you make a lot of money out there, it's best to be homeless and get your RV because you can't afford to buy anything. You can't afford to live in anything decent, you know. So they know exactly what's going on in California, and it's the developers. The developers are destroying stuff everywhere, but no politician is ever thinking about that. And Jim Clyburn and his crew, they always tell me, "You're an educator. You causing trouble, girl." You know, and they'll blackball your name or whatever. So to the millennials and the Generation Zers and, you know, the Generation Zeros or whoever's coming next, it's like they got to take this ball and run with it and keep turning it up. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 760. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Chris from Lancaster.
Okay, Chris from Lancaster. What's on your mind?
Yeah, just going back to the other caller previous saying that, you know, I guess these other black people from the South, Louisiana, Texas, South Carolina, you guys want to come to California and get reparations off of the people in California. Well, how's that going to work?
Who said that?
The previous caller.
Okay. Yeah. Certainly nice to support efforts in California, but no, we're not. Nobody is looking to move to California in mass to get anything in California. So certainly do support efforts for the folks who are in California. Absolutely gonna ride hard body for that, but no, brother, I don't think anybody is suggesting that. I think you might have misunderstood. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. You know, like I say, you want to talk about an event here? Well, here's an event. Here's an event. All right. Old Jimbo Jangles, he say they're getting ready to do their thing on May 7th. I'm sure he is expecting it to be the same old geriatric affair that it is every year. All the octogenarians come out with their walkers and their canes, their Depends and their Metamucil. And they're humming their Bible hymns while they're sitting up here cursing people out. And they're probably expecting it to be business as usual, but I don't know. You all might have something different to say about that. You all might have something different to say about that. I got a feeling if y'all show up, it ain't going to be business as usual. I got a feeling it's not going to be business as usual at all. So, like I say, the olders will be there, and I'm telling y'all, go ahead, pull up, get you a plate. You got my permission. Y'all got my permission to pull up and get you a plate. Pull up and get you a plate. Go ahead and get some fish fry, some collard greens, some cornbread, and some reparations. And a few answers. But absolutely, you got my permission to pull up. Caller from area code 352. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
You a cornbread.
Okay. Jim Clyburn's drug-addicted grandson is calling up here tonight, so he's not paying attention. In between hitting the pipe, he's distracted. Okay, if you were wondering, though, Jim Clyburn's world-famous fish fry, acting like he's opening up a franchise of Fat Burger. The world-famous fish fry. Well, I'm so glad to hear that, Jimmy. I'm so glad to hear that. I think we be ready to pull up and get us a plate. I think we ready to pull up and get us a plate too, Jim. And by the way, you notice he didn't really advertise it like he usually does. He didn't put it on his campaign website. He didn't do it like that. So he's trying to low key through this one. He would be real happy if only 5 people showed up to vote this year. He don't really want the smoke. He doesn't really want it to be a competition. So he's trying to keep those numbers low. But I'm just asking y'all right now. Let me go ahead and make sure about that. You want to be sure. Hey, if you're ready to pull up, I'm ready to hear about it. If you're ready to pull up, I'm ready to hear about it. No playing games, no bull jiving. If you're ready to pull up, we're ready to hear about it. We're ready to hear about it. They don't want to know, but we're ready for it. Let's go ahead and have that. If y'all are about it, I'm about it. If y'all about it, I'm about it. So if you're ready for it, let's go ahead and get it cracking. Black t-shirts, black ball caps. Where you at? Where you at? Because it's good and it's nice and everything to have folk running for office. That's good and that's nice and all. Don't get me wrong, that has its place. But at the end of the day, nothing beats having the optics of people knowing that, by the way, it's not just some fringe element or some fringe group. It's actually people who are paying attention and like, hey, business as usual is not going to fly. Business as usual is not going to fly. So next Saturday, you got an opportunity to stand up. You got an opportunity to stand up. This is your chance to get in there. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up tonight, but if you're planning on pulling up, in South Carolina, if you're planning on pulling up, you've had enough of Jimbo Jangles and folk acting like we're all on board. You had enough of that and you're ready to pull up. Get your black ball caps, get your black t-shirts, bring your cell phones. Make sure you got it fully charged now. So some of y'all running around with your Galaxy S6s. All right, bring a external battery with you. But okay. We can do that. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent black thought. We do this every weekend. And what you heard tonight is what we do every weekend. Over 138,000 subscribers and rising, on our way to 150,000. Make sure you click that red subscribe button and that yellow notification bell. Join us every weekend. This is the place that tells you of the events long before they're going to happen. We don't tell you what's occurring. We put you way ahead of the curve. And right now, we really need to be there. And if you haven't been to our website, BlackChannelFilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD, on streaming, on Amazon. Go to BlackChannelFilms.com. That is BlackChannelFilms.com. Y'all ready to pull up? This concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.